Welcome guys, this is Ola from Stop Me O channel, back with another Life is Strange 2 video, and this time I wanna discuss Life is Strange 2 episode 2 predictions and theories. Let me just start by saying that if I discuss any theory that I actually found online or something that I discussed with some other person, I will say that it's not really my theory. Like, I don't want to steal someone else's ideas unless I came up with the same idea on my own before reading that. That's why I don't often watch other Life is Strange theory videos. I want to be really suggested by what I see and then like repeat it, because that would be, I don't think it would be fair. So yeah, some of these theories I did find, some of them I came up with on my own, and some of them we discussed on my Discord server. The invite's in the description. We're talking about Life is Strange pretty much every day, so yeah, make sure to join that. Now, we do know that Life is Strange 2 team is still working on the game, like it's still in the works. They're nice enough to actually share updates on the status of the game's development, so that's pretty cool. I think that shows like a lot of respect on their part for their fans, so we know what's going on. And to be honest, I think they're still deep in the works. And that's okay. Like, personally, I'd rather wait for a better episode, for a good, decent episode, than have it delivered too quickly and the episode, like, you know, sucking pretty much. Yeah, I just think they can take as much time as they want, and that's totally okay. So if you have a look at their post, they actually run like a Tumblr. If you don't know, it's like an official one, lifeisstrange-blog.tumblr.com. This is the information that they shared. We're pleased to say that development is going really well. Just 2 weeks ago, we organized some episode 2 playtests on a pre-alpha build of the game using one of our external playtest partners who specializes in recruiting gamers for these specific tests. We also have our own team members attend the sessions in person so that they can observe player reactions and feedback. So yeah, as you can see, like, they've all been playing the game, but we're not playing the game, they're playing the game. The screens are blurry, so you can't really see anything, except that they kind of look French. Okay, before we start the video, this is a monthly shout out to my patrons, wonderful contributors, Shawn Kennedy, Chris Huber and Robert Hoffman. Thank you so much for supporting me. It means a lot to me. You're helping out a lot. You're making a big difference. You all are pretty much all the patrons. Okay, so here are some assumptions for episode 2. Assumptions, predictions, theories. I will try to include achievements. We know the achievements already, so I'll try to include them and see how they fit with what I think might happen in episode 2. And let me just start by saying the last prediction is actually my favorite one, so yeah, hang in there. Prediction number 1, the timeline. I think this is the most obvious one. Episode 2 will take place sometime around Christmas. We do know Shawn and Daniel left their home around Halloween, so there's still more than like a month to go before we reach the Christmas period. But we also know that that little sneak peek by the end of episode 2 did show us snow and winter in general. So my guess is we will jump ahead a bit. Life is Strange 2 developers mentioned that the entire game will take place over the course of 1 year, so we do have to jump ahead in between the episodes in order to make it. I think we can't constantly be on the road, it would be too repetitive. Episode 1 focused on setting the story, presenting the situations and characters, introducing Daniel's powers. We wandered through the woods, we set up the camp, stayed at the hotel, we met Brody, we said goodbye to Arcadia Bay, and we fought Hank's Stamper. Now it's time to focus on ourselves, on Shawn and Daniel. It's time to take a moment and possibly enjoy Christmas. That's why I believe episode 2 will actually be released sometime in December. It makes all the sense in the world to release that episode before Christmas, and this is like, you know, a perfect Christmas gift actually. It also works well with Shawn and Daniel not having enough money left and the weather getting colder. Captain Spirit took place in Beaver Creek, which is a small Oregon town, hence the achievements. Now, I think that the achievements that get along well with that prediction is actually Bad Santa, Small Town Blues, and possibly Back in Time. Prediction number 2. Miss Reynolds is actually Shawn and Daniel's grandmother. Now, this is an obvious one. I read that in so many places, and honestly, at this point, I think it's like it's certain. It's a certain thing. Claire Reynolds is a neighbor of the Eriksons in The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. We do know that she said, if you get all the lines correctly, that her grandchildren are home for Christmas. And we do see both Shawn and Daniel by the end of Captain Spirit game. It's safe to assume it's not really a theory, it's just a fact. And it makes me happy it is a fact. We need to assume Claire Reynolds is Karen Diaz's mother. We know that Shawn and Daniel's mother name was Karen. Based on the boxes that we found in Shawn's basement, it means that her name, before she got married, was Karen Reynolds. She was white. We do know boys are only half Mexican, so it makes sense because Claire was also white. Which means Shawn and Daniel will decide to spend Christmas at their grandma's. Now, what's her opinion on them running away and heading, towards Mexico? We don't know. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she wasn't watching the news. Maybe she doesn't know that they're missing. Although it would be kind of weird to assume that she wasn't notified that her grandchildren are missing and that her son-in-law is actually dead. Maybe she's trying to protect them by giving them a shelter, although it does feel weird. She's not going to convince them to go back and settle things. I just hope adults in the game are not the way Brody was. I mean, Brody was nice, of course, but like, giving them shelter, money, and then letting them go to Mexico, it just doesn't seem like something a responsible adult would do. I mean, Brody was nice, but letting 2 kids head alone to Mexico was just a little bit odd. Now, given the fact that Miss Reynolds is Shawn's grandmother, we will probably get to find a family memorabilia somewhere in the house. Perhaps something that belonged to our mother, which will provide that nice sentimental vibe that we all love. And I think achievements that could be suitable in that case is actually family business, small town blues, and heirloom. And now, like, the prediction number 3 that actually goes well with my prediction number 2 and would, I guess, explain Claire Reynolds letting them stay there and not like convincing them to actually go and turn themselves in. The only thing that would convince me Claire Reynolds did not try and talk Shawn and Daniel into going back and clearing things out is her knowing Daniel has or could have powers. Perhaps Shawn will trust her enough to share that. Maybe it will be up to us. Now here's my theory. Karen also had powers. Maybe that's why she's no longer in Shawn and Daniel's life. She never learned to control them and she thought it would be safer to just leave. Perhaps Claire Reynolds knew about it or sensed it. That's why she won't be surprised about Daniel having these abilities. That is why she will know it is tricky to go back and try to explain things when these powers can't be really explained. Perhaps powers is something that can be inherited, and even Claire herself had some abilities of her own. I mean, she did seem extremely intuitive when it comes to Chris's dad being an abusive alcoholic father situation. I mean, either she was very intuitive about it, or, it's the fact that she did find a whole bag of beer cans just outside her home. While finding out about our mother, we will get to hear some stories about her life, perhaps see her old room and revisit her past, hence the achievements. There's this achievement named family business. It does suggest an actual business like a company. But what if they actually mean family business, as in it's their business only that these powers run in the family? Now I guess we'll have to wait and find out. The achievements that fit would be back in time, heirloom, and family business, of course. Prediction number 4. This is something that I came up with today as I was rewatching some Captain Spirit videos. Do you remember that phone call that Chris made to Miss Reynolds? It was kind of a weird phone call because you can only hear like a buzzing. I guess it's like breathing or snoring. That was a bit odd. It's an optional activity, to be honest. You didn't have to make that phone call.
Come on. Hello? Mrs. Reynolds? Hello? Okay. That was weird.
Well, I'm thinking it was either Daniel's prank, I mean, kids love phone call pranks, or it was actually Daniel who put the telephone right next to Snoring Mushroom. Perhaps Daniel was training his forces and he picked up the phone using his powers only when he heard him ringing, and then he placed it right next to Mushroom sleeping. Either way, I think it was definitely Daniel related, that phone call. Prediction number 5. Now that's a little bit out there, but I'm thinking maybe Shawn knew that Daniel had these powers. Well, not as much as knew, but like suspected that he had these powers. I heard this somewhere, but I also thought it myself. When we watched Daniel use his forces in the hotel, Shawn did not seem that surprised. I mean, he did say what the fuck, but I mean, who wouldn't say it seeing this? It just seems to me that Shawn did not even try to talk about it, so perhaps he was gathering his thoughts to actually mention it to Daniel and discuss it. I don't think he knew it for certain, but I think perhaps he did notice some strange things happening with Daniel around. You know, kind of like in Harry Potter, like Harry Potter never knew he was a wizard before he turned like, I think 11. There were some strange things happening around him. He certainly sensed that something was just a little bit off. He couldn't name it, and maybe Shawn noticed it as well, before actually Daniel revealed these forces. So I think in episode 2, both Shawn and Daniel will finally take a moment to discuss Daniel's powers. We didn't have much time to do it in episode 1, which with Esteban's death and us running away was understandable. We will do it in episode 2. That's certainly based on the sneak peek that we saw by the end of episode 1. Now Shawn knowing Daniel had these abilities kind of contradicts my powers theory. I thought it was Esteban's death that actually triggered these forces, hence they did not previously exist. It could be either that or the fact that Daniel's forces were always there, only, I guess, asleep. I think while training these abilities we might fight with Daniel, like we always used to, experience some of that normal life again. And the achievement for that would be teenage angst. Prediction number 6. I think we will leave Beaver's Creek, so the city where we are in episode 2. I think we will leave it. I mean, the game was meant to be a road trip game, so we're meant to spend some time in a certain place and meet some people, and then we have to move on from these people. This is what they've been claiming in the developers, I mean, in the interviews. They've been saying that it's about meeting people and then leaving them behind. Now, why do we leave her house? Maybe Daniel will use his forces in a way he was not supposed to, and it's not safe to stay. Maybe police will come and search for Shawn and Daniel. We will find out about it, freak out and run away. Maybe we will go in order to protect our grandmother. Either way, I think we will spend enough time to actually train our abilities well, and enough time for it to get warm again. My prediction is Chris will want to join us. He doesn't have a lot, his mother is gone, his father is an alcoholic. I am sure Chris will play a big part in episode 2 and him and Daniel will bond a lot. He will clearly know about Daniel's powers. I mean, we know Daniel saved Chris by the end of Captain Spirit. Perhaps this will be a choice, take Chris with you or tell him to stay. Now, I don't think Chris will actually join us. I think it would be too dangerous to take him, and that's a big burden to watch 2 boys instead of 1. If we don't actually run away, perhaps Grandma Reynolds or her son Steven that was mentioned in the Captain Spirit game, and he could be our uncle, will drive us to a safe point. Now, Steven could also be a nickname Miss Reynolds gave to Shawn in order to protect the boys by using fake names. Another possible outcome is that we run away because Hank Stamper decided to follow us, which leads me to prediction number 7. Achievement for that would be a private journey. Prediction number 7, the villain. I don't actually know who the villain of that game will be. Certainly the only villain we met so far is Hank Stamper. I just hope it's not really him. I don't really want to see him again. Not because he was such an asshole, but mostly because the way he was presented, I suppose. I mean, based on our decisions in episode 1, we could have attacked him and stole the camping gear, which would make us his personal target, and I suppose he was crazy enough to actually follow us, but it was an optional thing to do. Personally, I tried to make Shawn and Daniel do the right thing, so they don't actually commit any crimes that could put us in actual trouble. For now, I think we're safe and there's no real villain in the game. Now, some claim that the villain was Brody. I'm not sure about that, it seems a bit far-fetched to me. I think Brody is exactly who he was supposed to be. A kind stranger who helped us out. Prediction number 8. Now this one, I think I read it on my Discord server. I think I talked to someone about that one. We will get to see the game from the police's point of view. Perhaps we will see a detective in charge of explaining Esteban's death. He might not be the villain, he might be a good guy, we don't know. We might get to see him, perhaps looking for us in Beaver Creek, and this will lead up to our final decision of leaving our grandmother's place and continuing the journey. Either way, maybe we'll get to find out what the police actually knows, what they think they know, and what they've established thus far, which may result in our decision of continuing the journey. Prediction number 9. Now, if we do continue our journey, which I'm certain we will, what if we're actually presented with a choice? Leave Daniel behind, for his own sake. Now, I mentioned this in my legal implications of Shawn and Daniel's actions video. Like, Daniel is a minor, he can't really be charged. Shawn is 16, so he technically cannot be charged, but he can be charged with more serious crimes, like murder, for example. Even though it was Daniel's powers that were the reason of what happened to the policeman, 1, it cannot be rationally explained, and 2, Daniel's a minor, as I said, so he cannot be charged. This is why Shawn might come to a conclusion that leaving his brother behind, as heartbreaking as it would be, is the best solution for Daniel. Miss Reynolds would take care of him, he would be safe and Chris would be there for him. Now, I don't think that we will be separated for entire game, but perhaps we will separate for some time, and it will be up to us, the player. Prediction number 10. Now, this is the final prediction and my favorite one. We will get to see Max again. Either Max, or Max and Chloe, or Max and Warren. We do know that when Max and Chloe left Arcadia Bay, they were heading south, so exactly the same direction as Shawn and Daniel are heading. I am practically certain we will get to see them again. Some people found files in the Captain Spirits folder, and the names Max, Chloe and Warren were mentioned. Now we can either bump into them and only see them or hear them in the background, or they can actually help us get to a certain place. It would be pretty cool if Max and Daniel got to discuss their powers. Now this is something that I'm really hoping for, to see Max and Chloe again, safe and happy. Now that would be a dream come true. Of course, if you sacrificed Chloe, you will only see Max, so yeah. The achievement that works here so well is of course back in time. That's pretty much it. These are my predictions for episode 2. Some are obvious, some are less obvious. I'm certain there's many more predictions. The thing is, I don't really like theories that are a bit too out there, a bit too far-fetched, like Brody being a psychopath that's going to hunt us throughout the game or something. I hope that's not the case. I don't like theories that are going just a bit too far. Do share your theories in the comments. I'll gladly discuss them. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, remember to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, notification button. I think I will soon organize like a giveaway, so make sure to stay tuned for more details. And remember to check out the links in the description for social media, Discord and Patreon. Take care of yourselves, guys. This was Ola from Stop Me O channel. Bye!